Yeah, hi there. These comments are for one of my students in my level 6 TOEFL preparation course, and I'm looking at your paragraph, so I got it. Your score here, 3.5 out of 5. This is the score I'm going to give you today. 22 points out of 30, or 82 out of 100 if this were the midterm exam, right? So I looked at the rubrics. And I think on this one you have some problems with either word choice or sentence formation. You have some grammar errors in there. Maybe you can better connect some of your ideas a little bit. But overall, I think this is a very strong, very well-written paragraph on your part. So, you say the first reason that I prefer airplane to other, I would say other forms of maybe transit's going to be better here, is that taking an airplane can save us a lot of time so we can visit and enjoy the famous places which we prefer. Probably don't have to say thoroughly. That's probably not really needed. That means if we are, I would say here on, not in. If we are on a long journey, if we take an airplane for 1 hour, maybe we have already saved half a day compared with those who are, I would say, on a bus or on, no, how about in a bus or in an automobile? And free time is precious, especially for the working class. You want to say here, working class. I'm going to say this is what you're saying, right? The working class people. So I'm going to change which to who are so busy all the time. For instance, when I was working as an engineer in China, I was so busy that I seldom had a holiday to enjoy on account of labor prices. You want to say here, being so incredibly high. Why is that? Notice you have a preposition here. So then here you need to have not a subject and a verb, but you need to have some kind of noun. That's why I said of labor prices being so incredibly high, which resulted in our bosses, you want to say this, trying to exploit any single period of time from his workers. So that's going to be a little bit better. We're using a possessive word to modify a gerund phrase here, right? Thus, as an engineer, I had to work to assist our workers. If I had a holiday, it sounds like you're talking about a present impossible condition, so I wouldn't say if. I would say when I had holidays. I think it's better. I would travel. When I had holidays, I would travel by plane to relax myself. And I would say, and to get to my destination much faster. Some of my colleagues had holidays since they I'm going to use past perfect here, since they had asked for a holiday for their honeymoon after their marriages. They also traveled with their husbands or wives by plane, because nobody wanted to waste their time on a bus. In conclusion, airplanes, the fastest daily travel tool, is, I'm going to say here, superior to others because they can save time for us. Now here's the problem here, is this one example, I like it, but you have to ask yourself, it says for instance here, this example doesn't really do anything to show how you can save time on airplanes. However, it does show how you're busy. But the important thing is the example you're using, it needs to illustrate the idea that you're arguing in the topic sentence. So probably, had you had a different example here, it might have been more effective in helping to illustrate the argument that you were trying to make, if that makes any sense. So instead of talking about how busy you are as an engineer, talk about how much time you saved by taking airplanes as an engineer. That might result in a more strongly written paragraph. Okay, let's read it one more time and make a few more corrections. So the first reason I prefer airplane, make this plural because you don't have air and in front of it, to other forms of transit is that taking, then we can say this, taking airplanes can save us a lot of time so that we can visit and enjoy the famous places which we prefer. That means if we're on a long journey, if we take an airplane for 1 hour, maybe we have already saved half a day compared with those who are in a bus or in an automobile. And free time is precious, especially for the working class people who are so busy all the time. For instance, when I was working as an engineer in China, I was so busy that I seldom had a holiday to enjoy on account of the labor prices being so incredibly high, which resulted in our bosses trying to exploit any single period of free time from his workers. Thus, as an engineer, I had to work to assist our workers. When I had holidays, I would travel by plane to relax and to get my destination much faster. Some of my colleagues had holidays, since they had asked for a holiday for the honeymoon after their marriages. They had also traveled with their husbands or wives by plane because nobody wanted to waste their time on a bus. In conclusion, airplanes, the fastest daily travel tool, are superior to other forms of transportation because they can save time for us. All right, we got it. Now the question is, are there any lessons that you can work on to... Yeah, there's some things I think you can do here. Let's go to the grammar part of my course first. I'll give you some suggestions here. Maybe sentences with adjective clauses. Just make sure you know the difference between which and who. What else? Count and non-count nouns, I think, is also something you can look at. So when do you put a, and, or the in front of those words? Or when do you make a count noun singular or plural? That's something you can look at. Verb tenses, yes, you had some trouble with that, especially when you were talking about past tense. You had some trouble. You were almost talking about what I call impossible past conditions, but that wasn't really what you're trying to do there, so you had some confusion with that. Prepositions, yes. You had some problems with prepositions, and biggest one probably gerunds and infinitives. So check out those lessons. Okay, now let's go to writing. Let me look at something here. I think overall you have the concept. You understand how to write a topic sentence. The main thing is your examples. That the issue was a lot of the examples that you gave, the purpose here was to illustrate how flying or taking airplanes saves more time than the other forms of transportation, but you didn't spend, I think, in your examples enough time illustrating that point. So maybe if you take a look at one here, go to writing lesson 5.6, writing the perfect paragraph. I think that would probably be a good lesson for you to look at. Maybe one more. How to make the writing more coherent. I think this is writing 8, but just remember here, this lesson, focus when you try to understand this lesson, just make sure that the details that you provide in the body paragraph, they illustrate the argument that you're trying to make there. Make it all fit. For example, your example talked more about why you were busy, not how you would save time flying in airplanes. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you look at Lesson 8, keep in mind that idea. All right? And thank you for doing this writing exercise.